Senator, good morning. Merry Christmas. How are you, sir?
Merry Christmas to you, Hoppy, and your family, and to all our listeners in West Virginia.
And to you, sir, and all the folks in the Panhandle. So, is right size the right term, or is that just a catch-all term that we just toss around?
No, it's absolutely the right term to be using for this. Look, we're trying to straighten out West Virginia, and your commentary today, Hoppy, was excellent.
Well, thank you.
But, the chicken or the egg, the bottom line is that it doesn't make any difference. We need to quit debating whether it's the chicken or egg and start doing the things. Start going after the root of the problems and dealing with the disease, not the symptoms of it. And that's exactly what we're trying to do. I'm prepared to sit here and bark off 30 different things. Each one of them could be a half-hour segment on your show that we're going to go in and go further along in government to make it so that we can keep our best and brightest here, keep our jobs here, and make the difference. And Hoppy, I'm not the brightest guy in the world. I don't claim to be, but I can recognize a good idea. Let's use Pennsylvania, for example. They're saving $3 million by they've decided to take off the little stickers that they mail out on license plates. Now, I hear everybody complain, well, that's not $400 million.
Right.
That doesn't solve it. But everybody knows that when you punch these numbers into a calculator, they add up, and they add up. And another thing that when we're right-sizing government, we need to make the lives better for the people in West Virginia, easier. And there's lots of things that we can do for that.
All right, well, let me go back to the sticker thing. And again, we sort of deal with it anecdotally, and that's fine because we don't have 15 hours we can give you here today. But are you saying that there are 30, as chairman of government organization, there are 30 things that government, that today, the government could do differently or not do at all that would save what? I don't know, 50 million, 100 million, 20 million? What do you?
I'm quite confident that I could do 50 million on my own in government organization by changing things around. Now, that doesn't happen instantly. We know that we're all creatures of habit, and some people fear change. And I guess I need to say that right now. State workers shouldn't fear of the pink slip, so to speak. What we're going to do is go in and change how we go about doing things in the state so that we're doing it more efficiently. Attrition will take care of the process of downsizing our government as time goes on through efficiencies. Let me give you an example.
Well, let me stop you there a second, because one of the most notorious budget cuts of the last few months was in Commerce, when Commerce cut back and laid off 3 dozen forestry employees, and they said, "Well, we got to cut back the budget." Are you saying that the state of West Virginia, in reorganizing government, or quote unquote right-sizing government, will be able to do that without laying people off? Because I don't know how you make the kind of changes or cuts necessary to try to balance the budget without laying people off. I don't want to see people laid off, but I don't see how you do it without laying people off.
To a greater degree. Now, again, we didn't get here overnight, and we're not going to get out of it overnight. But when we start putting the things in place so that government operates more efficiently, and then people retire and move out of the state, you just don't hire new employees, and you're growing the private sector to where people can actually gravitate from state government if they would choose to for higher wages in the private sector.
All right. So How is this all done? Because when we talk about it ad nauseum, the legislature kind of says, okay, we got some ideas, and you have some ideas, obviously. We say, well, but really this starts with the governor. The governor is the guy who is there every day, every hour of every day, and they put the budget together. And then, so how do we do, if this needs to be done, how do we do it?
Well, that's a little note that I made while I was listening to the show here. One of the first things I could give advice-wise to our governor-elect, who I'm looking forward to working with, is that, you know what, he ought to do everything he can to incorporate Jim Deskins into his cabinet, because John Deskins into the cabinet. Next to you, John's one of the greatest assets that we have in this state for turning our state around. Okay? Now, but let me back up for a second.
Yeah.
When we go to a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment, we get text, we get emails, and alerts to that. Why are we, instead of subsidizing the postal service, why are we not setting it up on the county level, the municipal level, the state level, to where you get notices via your phone, through text or email or both, however you choose to set it up? It saves the state money, it keeps the cost down, and it makes it so the process works a lot more efficiently, and you do it with less people.
Notices
There's
about
money
what?
to be saved there.
Notices about what? What kind of notice?
Personal property taxes,
Oh.
real estate taxes, the whole host of things. When you're in business, there's lots of times that you get a notice that you didn't receive something in the mail, but now you got a fine to be paid for it. That business could be actually notified by email. And that's a whole other thing where we streamline the process for business expansion and business relocation and new businesses to come here. There's too many obstacles. We repealed 12% of those regulations last year, and we're going after more of them this year. Last year was just the low-hanging fruit. But it's making the effort. And that's what Wall Street and business looks at, is that if a state is making the effort in the right direction, then they're going to have confidence in what you're doing. But we also got to be looking out for the people in our state. And like I said, commentary, I'd written part of this. 1950, we got 2 million people.
Right.
Now we got 1.8.
Right.
But yet our government has grown to the point, for the lack of a better term, we're choking on our own vomit in this state.
Wow, that's graphic, but I get your drift. I mean, but it does, we have gotten much, much larger, but, that comes, Senator Craig Blair's with his Republican from Berkeley County and chairman of Government Org. That comes with, presumably, the people's representatives responding to the services that the people want, need, and desire. So all that stuff we do is there because some constituency group said it needed it, and enough lawmakers agreed that it needs to be there. So that's why we do all this stuff.
And combined with knee-jerk reactions to everything that takes place in government, every little thing, and once again, we treat the symptoms instead of the core of the problem. Look, I'd like to mark out just a couple of them here that I've got on the top of the list. Occupational licensing reform, DEP fines bill. And what that bill is going to do is make it so that the DEP, the fines and fees that they collect, are going to come into general revenue, and then we're going to reallocate them back out.
Yeah. Stop me there. So you're talking about you're talking about, because that's we have a lot of those where money that comes in is by law designated to go to a certain area. So you want to capture that in general revenue?
Yep.
Okay.
You capture it, and then you reallocate it back on the as-needed basis instead of going out and issuing all these fines and fees, $2,000 for an oil spot in the parking lot. And what that does is ends up being the friends and family plan, where more people get hired in that agency because of the more fees, and the more fees are done because that person's going to have a job. We've got to stop that. Now, I'm all about a clean environment. I don't have a problem with that. But when it becomes a kingdom-building exercise, that's got to come to an end, and we have a lot of that in West Virginia.
All right. Finally, Craig, do you have any concept of what is, can you further define right size? If you want to use the term, as I have used, but now I'm thinking about it, do you want to define that? What does that mean, really, if we're going to use it?
Well, to me, the right size government is that you actually make it so that it operates efficiently for the people, so that you can get to the point of prosperity. Right sizing government is, in our case, is we ought to be working on legislation that repeals stuff and reforms, and not creating more laws on the books and more hurdles for both our people and the businesses that they have to jump through. That is right sizing government, and that is good for West Virginia.
All right, State Senator Craig Blair, chairman of the Government Organization Committee, Republican from Berkeley County. Craig, you and your family have a blessed holiday season. I'll see you in Charleston.
Thank you, Hoppy, and you have a Merry Christmas as well.